All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you a good friend of mine, Chad Carter. And Chad Carter and I have been in a build process for about the past 13 months, almost an eternity, it seems like, to build Chad his dream of a bike, Harley Davidson, that had to come a long way to get to where it was at today. So I'm going to sit here with Chad, and we're going to go through a lot of the trials and tribulations of what we went through to get to this point. And then hopefully maybe everybody can understand on why this project turned out as good that it did. And Chad's here basically with me today to share those thoughts and feelings and 30-year friendship, right?
Probably 30 plus, honestly.
30. We lost track a long time ago, but that'll be it, guys. We're going to sit here and we're going to discuss everything that the good, the bad, and the ugly with this entire build. All right. You and I have been friends for, 30 some years. All right. You're a very important part of my life. We don't get to spend enough time together because our lives get busy and we do a lot of different stuff. Right. You're busy. We worked in the mortgage industry together, right?
I think I got you in there.
You did get me in there a little bit. So, when I think about those things and you think about the opportunity to be able to do something back for you, like, right, build a bike. We sat at a bar, I think, last year, 13 months ago, and we were sitting at
Twin Peaks,
your and I's favorite spot. And I'm talking about it. And literally it was almost, at that point in my life, I was going through a really bad situation with the other shop and I was still trying to grow it. And we started talking about building a bike for you, right? And that spills into what we had done over the last 13 months, right? So I honestly think the bike build reflects a lot about how our relationship has been almost over 30 years, right?
Oh my God, that you actually put that pretty good.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and the funny thing about building a bike and building something for somebody, especially if you're, so I wasn't just building some fucking bike that you're going to look at once and be like, that's great. Like when you put the amount of effort and you think about what's really important, right? And how good the project has to be, the time, like we always talked about the time and how long the time it took, right? Time for me sometimes doesn't really, it's an irrelevant factor, right? Because if I try to do something for somebody very quickly, right, and you don't think about and make sure that everything that you do, now we all know there was a lot of issues, we had a lot of problems that went through, right? But that's kind of like what life is. And when you're building a bike or when you're building a car, you're doing anything for somebody that is a one-off or very unique, that is something that you're supposed to enjoy for the rest of your life, there's going to be issues and complications that come along the way, right? And so there's a growth to it. Restoration work and fixing cars and building a bike or whatever, it isn't like anything else in the world, right? It's almost like building a house, right?
Well, I think you don't know what you're getting into, right? So somebody has a project and they're trying to build and do stuff like that, and you know where the bike started from. So
it was in two buckets.
Two buckets. It was pretty much together except for a few things.
No, wait. It wasn't pretty much together. It was two buckets. It was I will get B-roll footage of what it looked like. I showed up at your house about 13 months ago. It was two buckets. All right, plastic buckets, a bike with no seat,
a tank,
and we'll say his name. Pat Anger was the owner of the bike beforehand.
I'm not even going to go there with that one.
No.
But yeah, you put that out there, you know.
So the point is though that's the uniqueness of kind of where we're at today. So you fast forward 13 months forward, whatever, until today, and sitting here across each other, back behind us. They're still back there doing some final touches to the bike. Chad Clark, who wasn't able to be here today, was a big, help in the bike, in building the bike. Chad, you got to be able to see, let's face it, I had a company that was going in one direction that basically fell and changed directions, and now we're sitting in an entirely different shop. We argued. We had fights.
Well, I think we've argued and fought for 30 years.
Yeah.
So.
I said that to you. It's funny, though. I said that to you yesterday, though. Remember, I was like, our friendship
is an argument.
And friends, though, at the same time, right?
It's like, we both have our opinion, like, who is right and who's wrong, right? And then when one person feels they're stronger than the other one person gets offended.
Yes.
Even though you're not trying to offend them, you're just trying to make a point.
We had a hard problem of being able to let other people have their points, right?
Sure.
And so I always try to step back, even after any of the arguments that you have. I'd always call right back and be like, listen, because that would be it, right? It's like you're like family to me. I've been around you for 30 years, and he told me not to tell this story, but 30 years ago,
here it goes.
Yeah, 30 30 years ago, we were playing basketball, and I think I was beating him. I might have dunked on him.
You did
and
not
he
dunk.
I
First of
fucking
all,
dunked on you. All 4 inches of my vertical.
You might have been in 6th grade, so there was no dunking whatsoever.
I dunked on him, and he literally was like, "You've got to go home now." And I'm like, "What the fuck you mean I got to go home?" And he's like, "You got to go home now." And I had to walk the fuck home.
No, you're missing part of that story. I went into the garage, grabbed your bag, threw it out there, and said, "Get the fuck home." That's what I said. So I mean, yes, I might have used the F-bomb, but that's exactly what I said in 6th grade.
So here's the best part about it when you think about that. Our relationship during this whole build was identical to that, right?
Sure.
I mean, and that's the funny part of why you can always be like, did you expect anything different? We did that like when we were like 9 years old. We almost fought each other over that.
It's at some point you think that we grow up. But at some point, when you've grown up with someone for the rest of your life, you're like, okay, maybe we don't really grow up. Maybe we're just the same people, just we're older.
With money.
What's the money thing? All right,
success
maybe.
and money, but not that means it's a bad way though, Chad. I mean, I again, one thing I will say, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to build your bike, right? I think you know how hard I worked to be able to do that. It was a very important thing to me. But building this for you, it's a huge expense, right? You know what I mean? You can't. You could go buying a bike like this any day of the week, right?
Listen, hands down, it is absolutely beautiful. I'm to the moon on this bike. I could not have done it the way that it's been done in my own garage. And I'm mechanically inclined. You've known that from years. I've built several
I saw the
bikes.
Mustang.
Well, I built, not the Mustang, but, the GSXR that I had, the CBR that I had. I've done all those stuff.
Yep.
And it was just more that I took on, and I couldn't get it to the point. And you're like, hey, let me help you with this.
Yeah.
And it's honest to God, hands down, at the final product, and my friend Bo's here and everything like that, he will tell you it is absolutely beautiful. And the pictures that you've sent do not do that bike justice. One bit. No. I mean, I don't think you'll ever see another Road King that looks that good. And this is just the start, because we got the platform down, we've done all this stuff, and now we're going to make some minor little tweaks to it. It's only going to get better.
Yeah. I mean, and the best thing about that is it is actually only really, it's a one-off bike. There's only one bike that's actually been ever made like that. Your frame is one of one. Yeah. And it's a unique thing about that bike because it was actually, it's a Harley Davidson, we thought it was a Harley Davidson title, but it actually was a company made big bore kit, right, that made the frame. I can't even know the frame. Chad, our builder, actually figured it out.
Yeah.
And it was the only frame that they made. Most Harley Davidsons are
one of them.
One of them, yeah. And he actually had it, and he didn't know that you had the bike, right? So the unique thing about that is that was 3 months ago, and we had to change everything on that bike because we'd already bought.
You should send pictures of this bike to them and say, this is that frame.
I know,
That's
right?
what you should do.
Well, and you got to remember,
because they still make motorcycle parts, don't they?
But not as much as they used to. You got to remember, in like 08, 09, when we were in the mortgage industry and it fell apart, a lot of the custom bikes and custom car companies kind of fell apart, right? And so they didn't have. There's just not the ability to sell like they used to. Now it's going to come again, right? And as you know, not your bike, but another bike we're going to use. We're going to try to get into doing ethanol and doing some other things with it. But and it's our first bike that we've built. I mean, we've done hundreds of cars. I've got a whole shop full of cars, but this was the first bike that we built, and this made me realize again that. Man, I love bikes. I just didn't get to ride them and enjoy them anymore because I have kids. You remember my Harley Davidson that I had in 03 that I bought? I think it was in 2003.
But you had a Road King, I thought, didn't you?
I had a Fat Boy because I'm fat.
Don't even get me started on that.
Like both of us are fat, but that's the biggest thing still is that this is such a unique.
Short.
He's short. You're under tall and over skinny are the two things that I like to try to say.
I don't know what's going on with this year, but it seems like there's a lot of short jokes that I'm being directed toward me. I'm not going to point fingers, but I'm okay with it.
So I want to ask you a couple things though, for real. Like so when you had this project for how long did you have this bike sitting around for?
Oh God, it's probably 4 years. The bike had been sitting in the garage. And I just didn't get motivated enough to even, I think I took pipes off and took some fenders off and stuff like that. And I just couldn't get to the point to where I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out there this weekend and just take the whole thing apart and start doing it.
Yeah.
And then, life gets in the way, right? So work, all the other crap that gets in the way. and then I think that I ran into you at Twin Peaks, and we started having a conversation, and we started putting things together, and that's where it took off from there. And I sort of had an idea of budget, but I knew I was going to sort of blow through the budget because I mean, I only want to do this one time, right? So to me, it was like, this is not a bike that I'm going to sell. It's not something that where I'm just looking to flip it and do everything else. I want something that I can ride and enjoy, and over time, maybe we tweak it a little bit, without having to take the whole thing apart again.
No, we never want to take that apart. Well, the other thing is, and I think the last time that, and again, I'm going to question that maybe if this bike ever ran again, but it was like either 2006 or 2003 that this bike actually was on a road or moved, right?
I think Pat, when I picked it up, I think it was 2006, honestly. Because I think the plate that was on there was 2006 or 2010.
Yep.
One of the two.
Yep.
Right? And that's the last time that had been on the road.
Or plated.
Plated. And now, he had parked it. He actually said he did ride it, and it ran. But for 10 years, when I picked it up, so it's 15 years now.
Jesus.
That the bike never ran.
Yeah. And what's kind of crazy is when Chad, our builder, Chad Clark, finally called me and said he got the bike to start and run. It was like, oh, fuck, shoot. Because, as you know, it was a weekly process of me calling you and being like, Chad, I got to order this. And you're like, all right, fucking order it. Right. But, I told you that yesterday, most of my files are, about that thick. Your file is legitimately that thick. That's like the thickest file that I've ever had to. But it was the amount of parts that we had to build. Then coming across the part of, the frame, you add in all the other stuff with COVID and all the other things that we had to, go through to get to this point to accomplish it. And I think I've said that to you many times. Time frame, it always seems like it's a long time. Yeah, 13 months. But when you said exactly what you just said to me, when it's a lifelong bike that you're not gonna get rid of, right? There is no really speed to it, because speed, that there's a pill that you can always say in a shop is good, fast, and I'll have to turn the phone off there. There's Chad Yeager calling right now. I should put him on speakerphone. Chad Yeager, you're calling in the middle of our podcast. That's our bike builder, Chad Clark. Sorry. Good, fast, and I always forget what the other. And was it cheap? And you can only pick two of them, right? And you have to pick two of the pillars. You can have it good and cheap, but you ain't going to have it fast. You can have it fast and good, but it isn't going to be cheap. So those are kind of always your pillars. And by all means, we all know that it wasn't a cheap build, right? I mean, you know it wasn't a cheap build.
God knows. When you picked this up, I think I got married the next month. So, I had that expense ahead of.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Listen, it has been a journey, to say the least, and I'm extremely, extremely happy how it turned out. I could not be even happier the way that it looks, and I know that we've got some other stuff that we're going to do down the road and stuff on it, but, man, seriously, if anybody saw the bike beforehand to what it is now, and I like my friend Bobo.
Bobo, did you see the bike before now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, did it look like this at all?
So, and the funny thing is, Bobo and I had some drinks and stuff like that, and I go, hey, I'm going to have him build this bike. And he goes, what are you going to have done to it? And I go, I have this vision in my head. And I would see pictures, and I'm like, oh, I sort of want to do this and that. And he's like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And that's how it all started. And then, the budget just sort of went like, well, this is completely out of the window. Let's do it, Because I think at the end of the day, I want to be happy with it. I want everybody else to be around it and go, hey, who built that for you? And I go, you. Yeah. And it gives you business and stuff like that. But, man, there's not going to be another one out there like that. And I'm super happy with it.
I don't think he'll never. Well, for one, I know you won't, because there's only one of those fucking frames out there, right? So that is numeral uno. That's it. You won't see another one. Two, the paint job's 100% original. Chad, he put some of his custom logos on it. You'll see the Indy's Garage logo, hidden on both sides of that as well. The seat, I'll touch upon, Rudy, who we do custom interiors, right? We had a picture of what the seat wanted to look like, and he fucking nailed it, right? Yeah. Absolutely perfect.
Came in, looked at the fabric, and I go, I'm not doing that fabric. We're gonna have to find something else. And then like, hey, I want to do a white stitch on it.
You know, I mean, anything. You're gonna get it and go get a stereo put in it. So you're gonna have an 800-watt stereo put in a bike. So
do I need that? That's not the point.
It's not the point.
It's the fact that I can have it.
It's not the point. You know. And so one of the things I always try to tell people, the best part about my job and why I like it, and the reason why I do this is, one, people love to hear a story, right? People think they watch TV and they think that this all happens in a fucking episode, right? Or 2 weeks. They don't realize that, you know, some of these builds can be 1 year, 2 years. And then all the hurdles that you have to come over, you have to, you know, there's obstacles in every single thing that you have to do, and you have to figure it out. We have to figure it out all of a sudden. Okay, well, this bike isn't even this, you know, the frame isn't the same. Everything that we bought is wrong. Right. Now we have to change. Those are those things that I've always, you know, I try to relate to customers, and I try to relate to the other people around us, is that, you know, it's not an easy task. You know, it's kind of like our relationship. You know, our relationship hasn't been an easy relationship, but
it didn't start out easy.
Yeah,
you know,
but then you look at how it is today, and it's funny, and I'll keep saying it a million times. That this build was like our relationship, right? Some fun, so a lot of glitz and glamour, some fucking screaming.
We're not riding around in an Escort with two 12s in the back anymore,
or a pimped out T-top Mustang, right? With the shit. So I have to share this. So Chad's mom, he had a custom.
You are going to say it, aren't you?
He had a custom dash pad made for his Mustang. It was like a 1986, maybe, right?
First of all, it was an 81.
Okay, 81.
81 T-topped.
And it was T-top.
And when it rained, and we had to take towels and stick it up underneath.
And if anybody knows Chad Carter's mom, she sure the fuck wasn't going to buy him a 5.0. So he had a fucking spoofy V6 that was probably making, like, back then, like maybe 140 horsepower.
Right.
But you pimped that thing out probably better than I'd ever seen. I had a pony Escort, and I had... we had a banging stereo in it. I had put the stickers on the windshield, right? Yeah. We were the shit in Greenwood.
Man, I think I spent more money on the stereo system than I did in the actual car.
In the actual car. Mine got stolen. I won't say by who. Remember that?
Yeah, so did mine. So we're not going to go there either. But, you know, back in the day, that was the thing, right? Yeah. You know, we didn't care about anything else. That's what we wanted to do. So
yeah,
it's funny, man. It's, you know, I sort of look back on how life sort of transpired, and we did things and grew up, and where we're at now, and kids, family, all that stuff. And now I've got a daughter that graduated college. I got another one that's going to graduate this year. I'm to the plateau of finishing everything off, and it's been a great ride. I would not change anything.
But
seriously.
We're at the best part is why we mix well is we're at a point in life again where our lives can come together, right? When we were younger, our lives were together, right? Because we were close to each other.
Sure.
All right. And then you have a big period of life where you kind of separate, right? Where you go on your own paths and you do your own, you did Chad, I did Mark, right? And then towards the end again, I feel like sometimes you have that need or that feel where once you get older again, those paths start to come back together, right?
Sure.
Because again, we're in our same point, right? I mean, I didn't say unfortunately, I had another baby though, so it's a little bit different than you. But I was almost on that same path as you. But when it comes to the fact of what we say, you know, work-wise, you know what I mean? You're very successful in what you do. You know, you've done it for a long time. You've been a mortgage broker your whole career, you know, and that's what I did for a little bit. But you do it well, and you're a professional at it. And that's why you get to sit. Really, let's face it, that's why you're sitting right here, because you had the opportunity to build something that you wanted to do. And you chose me to do it, and you put your faith in me to do it.
Well, it's because I can ride your ass, right?
You can ride my fucking ass, and you did.
Or make it so uncomfortable that you're like, God, I'm going to have to do something.
Listen, and on truth note, though, I don't think if I was building your bike at this time, I might not have gotten to this point, right? I told you there were several builds that I had to complete that I don't know if I would have got back to this point if I didn't have those builds. As you know me, we grew up together, right? I don't give up like you do. We were trained very young, you know, not to give up. And I think that's the key to what I want to say, that, you know, I appreciate your friendship the most for, and appreciate the opportunity to do what I did, and all the banter back and forth. I have to thank you for what you did for me.
Thank you. And listen, I do greatly appreciate it. You know, I know the sacrifices that you had to do for this bike and all the stuff that you had to go through. I am over the moon excited for it. You know, I think it turned out phenomenal. You know, and our friendship will always stay intact. I mean, we have a love, fight, anger relationship, and some people don't understand it. My wife to this day doesn't understand it,
Nope.
but
Nope.
I mean, I get it, right?
It's funny. I was in the car with her yesterday when we were arguing. She's like, "Why do you guys do that?" I'm like, "Because you don't fucking understand." All right, I've been doing this with them since I was like 8 or 9 years old. So you're not going to understand it. All right.
And the funny thing is I think that you and I are the only two that in the group that we sort of grew up with that do this.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't tolerate it, you don't tolerate
Nope.
it, but the other people will tolerate it.
Yep.
You know, so
Yeah.
and that's not to say that there's any difference between you or I, right?
Nope.
It's just I think that we're just sort of like that alpha trying to go down there and it's like I'm right, you're right, and, you know, and we're gonna fight, and then at the end of it, we're gonna come back together.
And you're fine.
Yeah.
We are both alphas who are always right, and then we have the ability to say, fuck it.
Yeah.
Maybe he was a little right.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't hit him or he hit me.
Right.
Never have we ever gotten close to fighting.
True.
Yes.
Schaefer, if you're listening.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
But no, I love Schaefer to death.
Yep.
I absolutely love that guy. But you're absolutely right. We've always had our disagreements. We've always had, you know, our choice words and stuff of that nature. And there's never been an issue that we'd always not come back together.
Yeah.
You know,
well, we came back together in a good way, and we've been probably on long enough. And so I just want to say a couple things on closing. One, the opportunity to build your bike was incredible, right?
Thank you.
And I hope that, you know, the reason that I'm doing this is 00 number 1 a podcast I'm doing. One, I want to be able to share the story like I do with everybody. A bike or car or anything that you do is a story. There's a story behind it. There's a reason why we do it, and it's a beautiful thing that I get to do is create somebody's dream. But I don't get to create that dream unless you had it, right? You know what I mean? So it's a unique thing. And I can't thank you enough for, you know, sitting down with me, as you just said that you didn't think that you could do this, and it's just all we are talking, right? Yeah. He gets to record it. Jason over there gets the hard part to edit this letter and make us look good, right?
I feel sorry for Jason, honestly. Well, I mean, I'm sitting back going. He's just like, God, man, do I gotta edit all this shit?
Hey, listen, he gets paid for it, so that's the best part about why he enjoys it, right?
You know, I listen. I've done probably hundreds of podcasts. I'm okay with them, but I'm just not comfortable enough, you know, in my own skin to sit there and do a podcast. But, man, I am so over the moon the way the things turned out. Yeah. I am so happy that you did the job that you did. I'm proud that you stuck through it, through all the stuff that you had to go through. And I know you're not going to share that, right? But you and I have shared it. Yep. So I'm happy that you moved forward and did the things that you had to do to get the job finished. I mean, as a friend to friend, I know what you went through. I'm extremely excited for you. I'm extremely excited for how the future is going to be for this build, not just for this build, but for your future.
Yep.
And hopefully, you know, this bike will be something that down the road that people will look at and go, hey, I want you to do something for me. Whether it's something small, big, whatever. This was a monster undertaking. I don't think people will ever understand this, but you know, if somebody took on a regular Road King and gave you a Road King, you know, that they just bought at the shop, it's completely different. Completely different. I mean, you're talking, this bike had a custom rear fabricated fiberglass fender made one-off. You're talking a seat one-off, so it fits on the bike perfectly. There is so many one-off parts on this thing, you know, that you just can't go and buy from a shelf or from a manufacturer and ship to you and say, hey, we'll have this done to you in 30 days because we can order parts on it.
Yeah, so that was the most challenging part towards the end. And again, Chad Clark, okay, we call him Chad Yeager on Facebook, and you know, we're going to hopefully build more of these bikes, but
and he was great. By the way.
He's great. I mean, but those are those things, like, you know, and I had to give a lot of encouragement, you know, back and forth to it. You know, like I said, I'm kind of that, as always, I'm that in between keep rah-rah guy, right?
Yeah.
Rah-rah, we can do it, right?
Yeah.
I tell guys all the time in this shop, and I've said it, you know, from day one, you don't know that you can do it or not if you just try it. Try it, right? You got to fucking try it. And then don't stop. Don't stop. Don't quit. Me and you talk about that all the time. Don't quit and don't give up, right?
Look at me. I could have spent the money on a custom car and have it built.
Yep.
But I didn't want that. I wanted this bike, you know, from one, I knew where it started from. I knew where the history of it was. And I just thought that this is where I want to be at, you know. So extremely happy.
Okay.
Seriously.
All right. Modelo's. Get at your boy. We'll do it. We'll do
maybe
a final
Maybe
test.
Modelo will send us a.
All right.
Yeah.
Bobo over there.
Thanks, my Bobo.
Jason, hey, 001 in the books, right? That's it.
Technically, this is probably going to be 002.
Oh, my God. I love it.
All right. Thanks,
And
guys.
Wait, did I sound that breathy?
Thank you all very much.
All right.
Chat Carter, thank you, buddy. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too, buddy.
All right, buddy. Bye.